Hey guys, Zumio here. Since the patch hit, I've been hard at work trying to find ways to one-up other classes, and warriors are always a good place to start learning mechanics, as lots of different stuff comes into play. Warriors are pretty awesome right now. They're definitely one of the best classes this patch, and indeed on the beta too. So the fight isn't a massive walkover like it was in Cataclysm, but I've managed to find a few things and develop some strategies to still give us the win every single time. I'm going to go through the spec and glyphs that I use and show you the abilities in action, but first I've just got one thing to say. As it looks like BM will be the best spec for quite some time, you absolutely need to tame multiple spirit beasts, as they are by far the best pet to have as BM. You need at least 3, and the reason for this is because Hunter 1v1 strategy at the moment, and indeed in the very near future, revolves around dismissing pets for extra spirit mens, and killing classes like warriors would just not be doable without this. So now that's out of the way, this is the spec you want to take. On the first tier we have Narrow Escape. This is very important versus warriors, and you totally need it to win. The basic tactic I use involves a lot of CC on the warrior in order to gain distance and healing, and I use this talent to create a gap between me and him, and sometimes even to set up a freezing trap. You have to be really careful, as this spell can be reflected alongside traps, but more on reflects later. On the second tier we have perhaps the most important ability against warriors, Binding Shot. This is just fantastic really, as it allows you to put your opponent under immense pressure, as you can preemptively place Binding Shot before he charges or heroic leaps, and he'll get stunned when he lands, wasting it and allowing you to run away without being slowed or damaged. It can take a bit of practice to get it right, but as warrior now has 2 back-to-back charges, you need to use stuff like this to keep him off you. The level 45 tier provides us with only one real choice. Like I said before, my tactic rolls around getting a ton of CC off on the warrior, and it will always be a long fight due to the warrior second wind talent, which just heals them for a crazy amount when they're under 35% health. With Spirit Bond you can kite at max range whilst regenerating health, which is just awesome. At level 60 I've been taking Thrill of the Hunt, mainly due to the fact that warriors move around a lot, which makes Dire Beast useless as the pet will always be playing catch up, and further can be nice, but killing a warrior isn't about having focus on demand really, it's about dealing sustained damage to keep them low and coordinating cooldowns to get the final kill. Finally, at level 75, Lynx Rush is definitely the talent you want to use. Warriors don't have any pets, so 100% of the Lynx Rush damage will go onto your target, which makes it really good for burst, and it's almost mandatory as you need to combine it with Bestial Wrath to finish the warrior off. Otherwise he's just going to heal back to 35% health again and you'll be out of luck. So that covers the talents that I use, but what about the glyphs? Explosive Trap Glyph is absolutely a must-have. The main reason for this is due to warriors having 2 spell reflects. This causes problems for us hunters, as they can spell reflect Freezing Trap and the sticky webs from the Disengage talent. After a few duels I realised that the knockback from Explosive Trap is not reflectable, which is awesome, as it allows us to essentially eat the spell reflex with this trap whilst also gaining distance. You could just leave it unglyphed, but I don't recommend giving the warrior an AoE zone on the floor to stand in, as you won't be able to CC him. The next glyph that I use is the Camouflage Stealth one, because it allows us to get the opener, which is always nice. Plus there's a lot of times where you aren't dotted in the fight, so if needs be you can essentially vanish for 6 seconds. It's not huge, but it helps out nonetheless. And finally I use the glyph that makes you travel further every time you disengage. This helps a little bit as it allows you to get max range instantly, which is nice as you can kite his second charge and usually force heroic leap. Also, any decent warrior is going to be using the glyphs you see on the screen. I have thought about trank shotting this enraged speed just to try and get rid of the speed debuff, but it doesn't seem to be worth it because they just get another one from hitting your pet. So there's not much you can do about them, it just makes the fight slightly harder. I'll also just quickly mention that charges are still scatterable, so this is a tactic if you find yourself in a bit of trouble. So now that's over with, I'm going to get into the actual duels and show you what I do. It's going to be a little bit tricky to literally show the whole duel, as some of them last like 5 minutes, because second wind is just crazy. I mean, literally, they don't die unless I pop Bestial Wrath and Lynx Rush and then stun. So there's going to be a few cuts to the important bits, but it'll still give you a good idea of how to beat a warrior. The guy I'm fighting is called Grok QT. He's multi-glad warrior, so he knows his stuff and is probably the best on Horde side of my server. I like to open with a scatter trap, as a lot of warriors just trinket straight away for no reason, and that's basically a free win. Of course Grok doesn't, so I just apply Hunter's Mark, Intimidation and pop all cooldowns to get the fight started. He disarms me off the bat, which is annoying as we don't have any disarm reduction yet, but I quickly disengage before his GCD resets, to root him for the duration of the disarm. I go to max range and do a bit of casual damage as he just won't die now. I then manage to deterrence his charge, which is great as it means I can place an explosive trap to kite him around a bit. He uses Dragon Roar but gets knocked back, so I'm not too worried, and I scatter his heroic leap on the way back in, getting max range again. I then go in to try to ruin one of his charges with Binding Shot and manage to succeed, which is very helpful as it allows me to get a full root on him without having to worry about reflex. Now I've got my cooldowns coming up soon, so I just really want to wait the fight out, put him in a full trap and kite around, knocking back his heroic leap.
Look at the sky, the sun won't ask for what if it can rise. Look at your mind and ask.
I then intimidate stun him when he charges me, but he has recklessness up, so I trap him, gain a bit of distance.
They follow you when you run and hide. Look at the sky, the sun won't ask, the sun won't ask, the sun won't ask.
Then pop all cooldowns. This forces shield wall, which means in a minute or so I should be able to get a kill. It's then really a case of kiting around for a while, pulling off some more cool stuff until eventually your cooldowns are ready, but his shield wall isn't. If he does get you low, just do this. Dismiss a Spirit Beast and call another to get a new Spirit Man. You literally can't die if you kite well and do this. Soak Reflex with explosive traps and you can continually freeze him to regain health. Eventually I managed to finish him off, as you see here, through popping everything and bursting through second wind. I'll now show you a few duels with the boring parts cut out so you can see a few other things that I did. Hope you enjoy.